Well, I must have done something really bad for somebody because I don't think I deserve all this. And I think that people are really not doing their job, but they have no idea what they're doing.
Thus far this weekend, Road America has been anything but satisfying for Tony Kanaan. While Bruno Junqueira was bitterly disappointed at missing out on provisional pole on Friday. Cristiano Damata appears to have his championship run back on track. While rookie Mario Dominguez got off track in practice and paid for it dearly. The usual result at Road America, where top speeds reach nearly 200 miles per hour. Last week, Adrian Fernandez was sidelined by a cracked hip suffered at Vancouver. After one race in Adrian's car, Mad Max Pappas will now watch as Fernandez makes his return. In final qualifying, Junqueira came upon a slower car and crashed out of his fastest lap, pushing car owner Chip Ganassi over the edge. But Damata could not outrun Bruno, who tries to go back-to-back at Road America. The field is on track, warming tires and engines in preparation for the start as Championship Auto Racing Teams and Speed Channel welcome you to Road America, featuring the Motorola 220 on the CART Grand Prix of Road America weekend. And here is the way they will line up. On row one, the Brazilian homeboys from Belo Horizonte, Bruno Junqueira, alongside championship leader Cristiano Damata. Row two will be Alex Tagliani with the Players Foresight team and Canadian Paul Tracy, one of 5 former winners in the field, the most we've seen all year. On row three will be New Zealander Scott Dixon and another former winner, Dario Franchitti, Derek Daly.
The Brazilians may be in front, but the Canadians are a bit like the Irish. They love a good fight. Don't take your eye off Paul Tracy. And remember, 6 times there's been first-time winners at Elkhart Lake. Maybe this afternoon is for tag.
Moving on to row 4, Kenny Breck, last year's pole sitter, will start alongside Adrian Fernandez, back in the saddle after missing a race. Row 5 will be Oriol Servia for Patrick Racing and Shinji Nakano, the second quickest man to Damata in the morning warm-up. Row 6 will see former winner Christian Fittipaldi alongside the hottest driver in the series of late, Patrick Carpentier, Calvin Fish.
Bob, a sensational performance by Adrian Fernandez in qualifying as he returns from injury sustained at Vancouver. He needs crutches outside the car. He said when he's in the race car, the adrenaline kicks in. Now, when we've seen a person get to second place in points, they seem to struggle. Bruno Junqueira, Dario Franchitti. Now we've got Patrick after his win at Mid-Ohio. He's second in points. He struggled this weekend. He needs either a lot of luck today or to find a lot of speed if he's going to cut into Cristiano Damata's championship lead.
Moving to row 7, Tora Takagi of Japan was 3rd quickest in the morning warm-up. He'll start next to another former winner, Michael Andretti. Row 8 will be the teammates from Team Rahal, Jimmy Vasser and Michel Jourdain Jr. On row 9, Mario Dominguez and Tony Kanaan have had absolutely horrific weekends to date, both of them suffering almighty crashes in practice sessions. Kanaan's crash came on Friday when at top speed on the 4,000-foot front straightaway here in Road America, he lost the rear wing and with it the downforce that would allow him to make the corner. A heavy impact, but Kanaan was okay. Dominguez suffered his crash down in turn 14 on Saturday. A massive impact that tore the front wing off the car and knocked the bundles of tires that cushioned the corner clear over the fence. To Scott Pruitt.
At the back of the pack, Tony Kanaan has his work cut out for him. Very difficult weekend so far. He is forever the optimist, though. You call it bad luck? I don't think so. In this sport, you make your own luck.
All right, thank you, Scott. You now have the starting field. Let's take a look at our race analysis as Mario Dominguez and Tony Kanaan make their way around the track. 60 laps, 10 full laps of this 4-mile track, farther than the race ran last year. A maximum of 192 miles an hour, maybe even higher than that. 32 shifts per lap for a total of nearly 2,000. And our maximum number of laps a driver may run before pitting is 14. That means the pit will be open 4 times during the race under the best of circumstances. How do we decide the pit window here? Well, CART determines in advance that 14 will be the number of laps you may run. In a 60-lap race, simply count backwards in increments of 14, and the number you get determines when the pit window will open. And that means that for those trying an out-of-sequence strategy, they may visit the pits as early as lap 4 or as late as lap 18. Now here comes the field, neatly aligned, facing Jim Swintal with the green flag in hand. And we're underway, and immediately Bruno Junqueira leaps into the lead.
Paul Tracy is coming up on the outside of Cristiano D'Amata as well, and he's able to get around trying the outside of Bruno.
D'Amata slips back to third, followed by Alex Tagliani, too wide behind him. That was Dario Franchitti off and on. This is turn 3. Now the long blast into the woods and into heavy braking area for turn 5, down from over 190 miles an hour to about 40.
Cars will pull 3 G's of longitudinal acceleration, and this looks like it could work. Paul Tracy on the outside. Look at that.
Paul Tracy absolutely on a charge. He is now in the lead as they climb to turn 6. On board with Patrick Carpentier. Oriol Servia just ahead.
The way Paul Tracy is streaking away, it makes me wonder if maybe they didn't start with a lighter fuel load.
Now into the carousel. A long, long right-hander. Lean into that throttle as much as you dare. Oh, Michael Andretti is off. Now CART announced that that's at turn 8. Apparently got an assist.
So I do not know. We'll see if they can have a replay.
Tim Green talking to his driver on the radio. CART will extract him from the pits. If the car is not damaged, he will be allowed to restart. That is not the normal practice, but last weekend in this, that is what they will do. But you get just one get out of jail free.
That was prompted by the drivers saying they were worried that there would not. Let's see if we can hear what they're saying here. It was prompted by the drivers worried about there being enough cars on the track at the end. Now Cristiano, they did not fish him out in time to keep him from losing a lap. The lap length here, hopefully, for Michael at least, they'll be able to get him out and he'll be just at the tail end.
See the Simple Green CART safety crew looking over the car. They make the decision as to whether or not the driver may continue. Let's see if we can see from, well, we won't see from this angle who got into Michael. Whoa, but he got way into him.
Tony Kanaan. Saw the car bicycle up on 2 wheels.
They'll use this Gale lifter to lift the car up, and Michael will stay in it, hoping to get back in. There is Tony Kanaan, who has made a big jump. You see he's already gotten around Tora Takagi, Jimmy Vasser, Michel Jourdain Jr. Kanaan shown 13th at the end of lap 1 after starting 18th. We are under our first full course caution of the day here at Road America. We'll be back for the green flag live in just a moment. Welcome back live to Road America. Michael Andretti is in the pits. We have just gone green here at the CART Grand Prix of Road America. Michael was punted off by Tony Kanaan, bringing out the yellow flag. We are now back under green, and Kanaan is being busted with a start violation. He's been placed in 17th behind Michel Jourdain Jr. And someone is slowing there on the run down to turn 5. On board with Dario Franchitti. The red and white Target Chip Ganassi racing cars appear to be slowing, but now it looks like they're back up to speed once again. Shinji Nakano looking down the inside of Franchitti as they head for Hurry Downs.
Saw Brack putting a pretty big block on his teammate Dixon in the run down to turn 3. Something's causing a total accordion. It's been going on for about 6 corners here.
There's Franchitti, one of the first-time winners here at Road America. Nakano and Fittipaldi. And Adrian Fernandez. Through the kink. Down to Canada corner. Now more on Michael Andretti with Scott Pruitt.
Michael Andretti just came in, got 4 tires and filled up the car fuel. The Motorola team took a good look at the car. Looked like there was no damage, so there's no changes to the car. But unfortunately, going down a couple laps like that is going to be almost an end for his day. Guys.
Up and over the brow on the 4,300-foot front straightaway here at Road America. To about 192 miles an hour for braking for turn 1. There's the running order across the top of your screen. Paul Tracy leads. Bruno Junqueira started from pole.
Bruno wiggling his fingers to keep his hands loose. One of the things, subconsciously, you forget to do that and your hands will cramp up. This is such a long race. If you don't kind of remind yourself to do that, just relax when you can. Obviously, in the corners, you need to hold on a little bit tighter, but it's a thing. Sometimes you get so caught up in the race that you forget to do that. Your hands start cramping.
Turn 9. Back to 6. There is Kanaan. Let's take another look at the start and see if we can see what Tony Kanaan did to bring down the wrath of the officials. His left-hand column, he's right at the back, right where he's supposed to be. There's the green. Kanaan goes to the middle of the track. It looks like he might have jumped Jourdain.
The way they audit that, there's an electronic audit where if his transponder crosses the line before Jourdain's, he's allowed to be out of line, but and the audit comes up and it'll have a little insignia next to him that basically says you're coming in for a stop and go, or put him back behind that car like they did.
Through Canada corner and up into Thunder Valley. There's Tony Kanaan. Meanwhile, Cristiano D'Amato runs third. Calvin Fish.
Well, on this racetrack, Bob, a lot of the teams have experimented this week with trimming the car out, taking some of the wind out of the car to get down the straightaways. Cristiano D'Amato is one guy who's not done that. He's running quite a bit of downforce, but he said Tracy's car is like a rocket. He reported to his team after the end of that first lap when Tracy made the big move. So with good tires underneath him, Tracy may be okay, but we'll have to watch as this thing continues to see when the tire sort of like goes off a little bit in performance, whether he can keep the car up there on speed and out front.
Pit window is open for the first of what should be 4 pit stops in today's 60-lap race.
Christian Fittipaldi took advantage of that. He wouldn't tell us what he was going to do. He said we would know shortly. Now we know. Carpentier hinted at the same thing.
Good look at Paul Tracy. 5 former winners in this field. I believe that's the most we've had at any one stop on tour this year.
Now, once the tire temperatures and pressures have kind of normalized, the lap time might be the same, but when tires are cold, the guys with more downforce, like perhaps Bruno and Cristiano, on that opening lap were not able to get through the corners quite as well as they would to gain back the advantage, whereas cold tires didn't hinder Paul Tracy one iota on the straightaway. So he was able to, if that is true, trimmed it out and just had big mile an hour. It looked like he drove around the outside of both the second place car going into turn 1 and then Junqueira on the run down to 5.
So look at Christian Fittipaldi, who was announced he is going stock car racing next year. He is running the last few champ car races of his career for the moment. We expect him to pit shortly. Yes, he does. So Fittipaldi is in from 9th place.
Watch your speed, Christian. Fill it up, Brandon. When Burchett hits your marks, you have a clear pit lane. Foot on the brake.
Calvin Fish awaits Christian Fittipaldi.
Well, the team is really rolling the dice here. He's going to obviously take on 4 new tires. Quite a bit of fuel is what Craig Hampton told me, his race engineer. They started a little bit light, told him off here. Should be once the tires on, they'll release him. That's underway. 8.6 seconds.
Good pit stop. You heard the motor up a full load of fuel, so Fittipaldi is good all the way to lap 20 before he'll have to pit again. While up front, Paul Tracy continues to lead Bruno Junqueira. Tracy has 2 wins here at Road America, 3 on the Milwaukee Mile. So the state of Wisconsin has given up 5 victories to Paul Tracy. That's the most of any state where the champ cars visit.
Get a good look at how evenly spaced the cars are. That's a function of the aerodynamics. We saw when Cristiano D'Amato got close to Carpentier, lost downforce. It kind of acts as an invisible buffer between these cars in terms of how close they can follow in the high-speed corners and under braking.
On board with Junqueira, Scott Pruitt has more on fuel strategy.
I had a chance to talk to a number of these teams before the race. This track is different than all the other tracks they go to. They're going to play it a little different. Fittipaldi was a guy who came in at lap 4. Lap 12 would be the other magic number because 12, 12, 12, 12 is about the same amount of time. Tracy's guys, they won't tell us. Sometime before lap 14, well, yeah, duh. But they may do that and then split them into equal segments for the last piece. The idea, shorten up the amount of time in the pits. And here comes Tor Takagi right by me as we speak.
Takagi headed for the Walker Racing pits. As you ride with Bruno Junqueira, all these cars on Bridgestone Potenza radials, all of the teams have been issued an extra set, 8 full sets of dry weather tires for this weekend, practice, qualifying, and the race. And this is a Potenza that is specific to this racetrack. It is used nowhere else on tour. So out comes Takagi. He is good now to lap 21. We'll take a break. There's your top 5. More to come live from Road America. Welcome back live to Road America, on board with Patrick Carpentier, who just pitted, and he will be the man at our next stop next weekend when we visit the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the Grand Prix of Montreal. First time for the Champ cars on that Formula One circuit. We'll have Friday qualifying live at 2 p.m. Kart Friday night, of course, from Montreal. Saturday qualifying live at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, and then the race itself on Sunday live, beginning with pre-race at 1:30, the race itself at 2 p.m. Eastern, followed by round number 11 of the Toyota Atlantic Championship, live only on Speed Channel. Let's get to Calvin Fish for more on Carpentier's stop.
Well, the winner of the last round was in as well, Bob. 8.8 second stop. They added a turn of front wing. Understeer is what he's been fighting all week long. They believe they have a good car, and I believe he beat Christian Fittipaldi in terms of track position when he got back out.
He pitted after 7 laps. Here comes Michel Jourdain Jr. headed for the Ray Hall pits. Scott Pruitt is there.
Michel Jourdain comes in, hits his marks. He's saying the car just a slight bit loose. They're going to take a little bit of front wing on. 4 new Potenzas go on. Fuel's going in. No front wing change. 8.2 seconds. Good stop. He's on his way.
Good
Guys,
quick stop for Michel Jourdain Jr., the only driver in the series to score points in all previous 11 rounds of the championship this year. First driver to do that since Al Unser Jr. scored in every round of the championship en route to the title in '92.
Now that low drag setup that Paul Tracy used to catapult him into the lead now is starting to have an effect, could affect the other people's strategy because there's starting to be a queue behind him. Now with the low drag setup, what you can do is just as long as you don't make mistakes and you're tidy in the corners, you get out on the straightaway, well, nobody can get by you. Paul Tracy can actually probably save a little bit of fuel relative to these other guys. They need a clear track to generate the lap time. He does not. So now, with getting out of sequence, anytime you're being impeded and not running as quickly as you could by yourself, you have to consider maybe doing that. It's possible you might even see a front runner roll the dice and pit before the 14 laps is up. You're seeing a lot of guys doing it in the back. If he holds these guys up enough, theoretically a guy from 6th running quickly enough by himself could leapfrog all these guys. I would be surprised if at least one of these top 6 didn't try that.
Up and over the brow of the hill, under the flag stand, coming around to complete lap number 9.
Yesterday, I thought the low drag setup might be something that the players guys would do because Tony Sakala used that to good effect almost exactly the same way. He had a low drag setup on Jacques Villeneuve's car when he won here, and he won that race on a restart. Went from 3rd to 1st, drafting up the front straightaway. Again, cold tires doesn't affect the straightaway speed with low drag.
Speaking of Jacques Villeneuve, the rumor has been rampant here at Road America that there is an outside chance that Villeneuve may be convinced to forego a year of Formula One and come back to the FedEx Championship Series. We'll have more on that next weekend in Montreal. Great look at these Champ cars as they crest that brow through turn 6. There's Alex Tagliani with the red maple leaf on the nose of his Reynard. Into the carousel. Now the run to the kink. Look how narrow that track is. The drivers head through there with the barest lift of the throttle. This is Canada Corner. Into Thunder Valley. Climbing to the Billy Mitchell Bridge. Turn 14 beyond. Where the cars come back into view of this big crowd at Road America. Now the long run up the hill to the flag stand.
I'll tell you what, low drag or not, Paul Tracy is still getting around the rest of the course pretty darn well. That car looks very well balanced.
Bruno, pit in 3, pit in...
3 laps to a pit stop for Bruno Junqueira. That will be on the 14-lap maximum. Jimmy Vasser is in short of the 14-lap maximum. Scott Pruitt awaits him in the Rahal pits.
I'm sitting here in the Rahal pit. They are going to take a little bit of a different strategy here. Tires, fuel, no changes. 4 new Bridgestone tires, but no changes at all. He's happy with the car, happy with the balance. Obviously, they want a little more speed. Little problem getting going. 9.0, they're just a little slow getting on the gas. Guys?
Well, as my former Formula One colleague David Hobbs likes to say, Jimmy Vasser needs a good result like he needs oxygen. Here's the view from our Honda Skycam. And thanks to Honda for providing this airplane that allows us to watch Jimmy exit the pits and then go find the race leaders.
Look at all those cars queued up. Now it looks like it's the top 7. Franchitti has joined at the back of that queue.
Tony Kanaan has just turned the fastest lap of the race thus far, 1 minute 45.748 seconds. He is running 11th, so Tony the Tiger is on a charge. What a weekend he has had. Oh, 2 wide down in 5. Oh, looked like
that's Jimmy on cold tires trying to get up to speed.
Yeah, outside towards Takagi in the red and white car. There's Takagi. Boy, he raised some eyebrows with the 3rd quickest performance in the morning warm-up, behind Cristiano Damata and his Japanese countryman Shinji Nakano.
Raised my eyebrows when I went out on course down to turn 5, and we're always surprised when we see him put in that big number in the morning session, never able to do it in qualifying. But I'll tell you what, Tora Takagi is a demon on the brakes. There is nobody who goes deeper than Takagi. Doesn't always do it the same every lap, but when he's inspired, he can get there.
No change up front. Paul Tracy leads Bruno Junqueira, Cristiano Damata, Alex Tagliani, and Kenny Brack. Your top 5. We'll be back. The horn looks good.
Welcome back to the Kart Grand Prix at Road America. You're on board with Bruno Junqueira. He just reported into Bill Pappas again. I can't believe Tracy's speed. I spoke to Bill Pappas, his engineer, and he said, we are running light on downforce. We don't understand the straightaway speed that Paul Tracy has. Maybe Tracy was using that overtake button, which gives him a few more revs in those opening laps. Let's go down to Scott Pruitt.
Same sort of thing with Team Cool Green. Both the cars, Paul Tracy and Franchitti. Tracy very happy with his car, probably no changes. For Franchitti, a little different story. They're actually looking at making a front wing change, going up a little bit. Car's pushing a little bit. Want to put a little front wing in, see if we can bring the front of the car back to him a bit. Guys?
You see that a gap has opened up between Paul Tracy and Bruno Junqueira, and it's not just because of the Canadian speed. Junqueira had a big bobble in turn 4. I'm surprised Cristiano Damata didn't get him on the front straight.
Yeah, it was definitely loose right after he turned in, trying to get it slowed down for 14. You could see him during the break. He pinched all the way, ran all the way up the front straightaway along the pit wall, trying to keep Cristiano behind him.
There's Dario Franchitti, who picked up his first kart FedEx Championship Series win here in 1998.
Just as I said, everybody was queuing up behind Paul Tracy. All of a sudden, I don't know if he might have been saving fuel, and then approaching the pit stop, he decided to pour the fuel back to it, coupled with Junqueira's little bit of the bobbles, giving him some nice breathing room.
Heard that ratcheting sound of the electronic traction control. There it is again.
See that understeer, having to wait on the throttle while the other guys are able to get it up and pick it up and go.
Coming around to complete lap 13, so the top 11 cars will be in the pits at the next lap. That is actually turn 2 at the top of that hill under the Briggs & Stratton sign. This is 3. Oh, somebody got some wheels off, and as lush as this grass looks, it's amazing. Every time somebody puts a wheel off, you get this massive plume of dust. We had rain on Saturday morning. It hasn't done anything to keep the dust down. These cars will all be in next time they reach the pit entrance, and then it will be put in the hands of the pit crews to try to change the running order up front.
It'll be interesting to see where they come out relative to the guys that did the short stops, to see if those guys, any of those guys, were able to run with sufficient pace to start putting themselves in the middle. You know, you'll see it play out on every other, you know, when the leaders, the guys that are on the long strategy, every time they come out, it'll give you a sneak preview on what it's going to be like at the end of the race. You'll be able to gauge the progress of the guys who are out of sequence.
Top 7 cars have a 4-second gap over the field. Here comes Paul Tracy, turn 14, and then the pit entrance. Scott Pruitt will cover Paul Tracy's pit stop. Here they come. Let's get down to Scott Pruitt as the race begins in the pits.
The cool guys are ready, anxious. Both cars coming in. I'm sitting with Tracy's pit. They are not going to make any changes. 4 tires, 4 brand new tires. That's very significant. Team Cool Creek guys go to work. 4 brand new Potendas on the car. Still going with fuel, waiting on fuel, waiting on fuel. And he's off.
Tony Kanaan heads for his pits. Will he impede Paul Tracy on the way out? I don't know. There's Bruno Junqueira. He too has sticker tires as he exits. Tracy comes out first. Oh, it looks like one of the target cars got sideways. Junqueira and Breck. Teammates wheel to wheel. Breck gets the hip check off at turn 1. On board with D'Amata behind Breck.
You saw D'Amata make up some good ground on Junqueira, entering the pits, breaking down to the pit speed limit. A little bit better service, though, by the 2 target boys.
This is turn 5. There's Mario Dominguez. It's had such a difficult weekend. For the moment, he takes over the race lead in his first visit to Road America. Waiting for confirmation from timing and scoring.
He pitted on lap 1, which extended his window 1 lap further than everybody else. So this is his moment in the lead of a Champ Car race.
And here comes the posse, led by Paul Tracy. Run uphill to the Billy Mitchell Bridge, where Mamo Gidley had a memorable accident a year ago. Mamo was here this weekend working with some of the Carters who are racing over at the Briggs & Stratton Motorplex. Now Dominguez is in. Herdez crew goes to work on him. Tracy reassumes the lead. Trouble with the right rear. Long stop, nearly 10.5 seconds. The only rookie in the field heads back out. So on balance, Cristiano D'Amata lost a spot on the pit stop, dropping from 3rd to 4th. We see Bruno Junqueira, who resumes behind race leader Paul Tracy. There is 4th place, Cristiano D'Amata, the points leader. We'll be back live to Road America in just a moment. Welcome back live to Road America. Bob Varsha, Tommy Kendall, Derek Daly, Scott Pruitt, and Calvin Fish with you for the Kart Grand Prix of Road America. Round 12 of the Kart FedEx Championship. Through the kink goes Bruno Junqueira, chasing race leader Paul Tracy. Kenny Breck moved up 1 spot on the pit stop. He now runs 3rd, but right now Bruno Junqueira is all over Paul Tracy.
And where he's getting it is in the kink, so maybe with that low downforce, Paul Tracy,
this is a lap ago.
Big time off in 7.
Let's get more on Paul Tracy's situation with Calvin Fish.
Well, it's really a Bridgestone story, Bob. We run a very specific Bridgestone tyre here at Elkhart. Like, has a much thinner gauge, meaning there's essentially a little less meat on the rubber because of the high speeds that will then generate less tyre temperature. But Bridgestone were ecstatic at the end of that 14-lap run that most of the drivers were running quicker laps there on lap 13. So they really believe they've got their sums right. Right now, there's a big battle up front.
There is indeed Paul Tracy with the 2 Target Chip Ganassi teammates now, Junqueira and Kenny Brack right there.
And watch to see if Junqueira closes up at the kink. We were on board with Junqueira, and he was flat out. But if he's closing that much between there and Canada Corner, maybe the low drag setup, or maybe just being a little rattled after his off track. Be interesting to monitor if Paul Tracy is showing a weakness there at the kink.
Pole position for Bruno Junqueira meant another big check for the St. Jude's Children's Research Medical Center in Memphis, Tennessee, from the Target Chip Ganassi racing team. They also make donations for laps led, race victories, and so on. Building the Target House 2 at St. Jude's. Boy, Kenny Brack is another one who desperately needs a good result. He's had a number of crashes this year, several tangles with Jimmy Vassar. Chicago and Vancouver come to mind. First turn sort of things that will just make a driver crazy. Christian Fittipaldi pitted out of sequence, currently running up in
7th. Okay. Now there's a progress report. He started 11th, got out of sequence. So once the guys that stopped on lap 14 pit, between now and Christian comes in again, which is just in 2 more laps, we'll be able to gauge his progress at 3 different points during the race. And running fairly quickly by himself, while all those guys.
Patrick Carpentier's team also asking him to pit. There is Carpentier. Calvin Fish awaits him.
Well, his car has picked up a big push here. They went to the front wing on the first stop on the early one, and they're putting even more front wing in, we believe, this time. So it'll be new time, fill him up with gas. We should see the mechanics go to the front wing and add a couple of turns there. Okay, one full turn on the front wing, waiting for fuel. Pat's back underway.
Watch your speed on the way out. Watch your speed. Okay, you're clear right now.
Coaching the driver back on track. The driver's asked for an official to stand at the pit exit and help them spot cars coming up the front straightaway at full tilt boogie. Here's a look at the last 3 races. Patrick Carpentier with 2 wins and a 5th place finish, 54 championship points. Cristiano Damada with 4 points, not including the bonus point picked up this weekend. It's like a rear wing problem for Shinji Nakano.
Another rear wing problem. Obviously, Tony Kanaan had that failure. Scott, what have you got down there?
That's exactly right. A problem with the rear wing. Looks like it's come undone. Actually, they pulled some screws. I don't know if they sheared the screws or if they've just come undone. Anxiously, feverishly going to work, changing that rear wing. This is very, very costly for Shinji, and this should not be a continual problem. This looks like limited to just this. You see they got their other wing ready to go. We'll have a change in a matter of moments, but it looks like the screws actually came out of the main plane.
That's comforting.
Nakano goes down a lap. Tony Kanaan's rear wing problem on Friday was a Lola chassis. Nakano's in a Reynard. Scott, go ahead.
Fittipaldi just made his way up to his pit. Calvin?
He's coming down here. It's got 50 miles an hour, long pit lane. We expect the front wing change on Christian as well. Spoke to Craig Hampton. He said the car's pretty good. Little slip there on the right front. Should be able to recover okay. Searching for the nut. Just a slight delay on the right front. More fuel going in. The rest of the stop is complete. 12.6, I believe the number was on that start.
Couple of twists to the right front wing for Christian Fittipaldi.
Coming right up on you.
Bring him coached back onto the racing line. And there's Michael Andretti, who's knocked off at turn 8 of the first lap. Shown 1 lap down. He's also complained he lacks power. His best lap of the race was set way back on lap 5. Michael Andretti hoping for a break as the race goes on, and it is going down at a furious pace despite our one full course caution. We'll be back with 41 to go. Toyota Spotlights today. We'll take a look at the season to date for Target Chip Ganassi Racing, 4-time Kart FedEx Series champions. Bruno Junqueira, pretty much the star of the show in the early season. A victory from pole on the oval at Motegi, Japan. But then a rough patch, taken out in Toronto in a collision with Townsend Bell. Bruno was not a happy camper. And then Vancouver, where the right front suspension collapsed during Friday practice, led to a massive collision with the tire wall. Scott Dixon joined the team for round 4. He too had a suspension failure in Vancouver. Worked hard to keep it off the wall. And for Kenny Breck, well, there hasn't been an awful lot good to talk about. Leading in Portland, wearing the left rear wheel came off the car. Then on the oval at Chicago, he and Jimmy Vasser got together. End of day for both. Vancouver, again, Vasser and Breck. Day over. Yesterday at Road America, Bruno Junqueira was on his last flying lap, hoping for pole position when he came up behind the slowing Shinji Nakano, hit the fence. Chip Ganassi thought it would bring out a red flag that would cost him his best lap, but since the checkers had already waved, there was no red flag, and in fact, Junqueira had the second fastest lap of the session as well and kept the pole position and bonus championship point that comes with it.
Look at this. Paul Tracy has settled back into his rhythm and has built up a 1.3-second gap.
They're the 6th through 10th place. All of the Target Chip Ganassi cars doing well today. Let's get down to the pit lane.
Chip Ganassi having a great day here. 3 cars in the top 6. Mike Huller's overseeing the work here on Kenny Breck's car. Mike, it seems if you guys can get through that first turn, you got a pretty strong race car this year. What's Kenny saying? And is reliability today with this long race a concern for you, Mike?
I think right now just keeping the Target car running at the front, riding along like we're doing. We've already seen some people doing different strategies today to try to get themselves some open space. So the viewers are going to have to see to the end what goes on here. But car's good, really good.
Chip Ganassi Racing having a lot of fun here. Let's get down to Scott Pruitt.
Talking about what happened with the Lola rear wing, with Shinji's actually the screws pulled out of the upright. That's a major problem. The screws weren't left loose, actually pulled the insert out of the wing upright, which could be a concern. We got to watch this. Most of these cars out here are Lolas. Lola has had a problem with the rear ring, potentially, and hopefully not. Some of these other guys may have the same problem. Guys?
I should correct myself. I said that was a Reynard. It actually is a Lola chassis.
And the loads are very, very, very high, obviously, with the high speeds they're running. But one thing, the curbs, when you see the cars go out, like let's see if Nakano does it out here, going out over there, and the center of the car hits those rumble strips. You watch the whole wing gets this little shudder. And eventually, that might be what's loosening up those inserts.
Down to Canada corner. Good look at Junqueira. Ooh, get a little squirrely there on the exit. And he got those left side wheels up on that curbing. We're going to go on board with Bruno and ride a while to the sounds of speed. So turn up the volume and enjoy a lap of Road America.
Go, Bruno. Let's keep pushing, buddy. Keep pushing.
Paul Tracy's gap over Bruno
pitting in 3.
He and a lot of other people. 2.39 seconds the gap from Paul Tracy back to Bruno Junqueira as the Canadian now begins to draw it out. We'll look at Adrian Fernandez. Meanwhile, Kenny Brack has hit the pit lane and Calvin Fish is there.
Well, this is a little bit ahead of schedule. I think what they're now doing is breaking this race down. Kenny has a very fast race car. I think he was being held up a little bit with Junqueira. Now he should be able to go on through equal stints to the end. Let's go down to Peru.
Jimmy Vasser is in the pits. They're actually going to put one turn front wing and 4 new potentials. See the mechanics go to work on that front wing. One turn up, in gear, on his way. Guys.
Pretty cool little mechanism to be able to adjust the entire front wing from that one corner. 50-mile-an-hour pit lane speed limit. Jimmy Vasser on his way back out. Kenny Brack and Vasser will be trying to turn hot laps here to take advantage of pitting just a couple of laps before everyone else will be coming in among the front runners.
That was a good call, Calvin. I think Brack was being held up by Bruno rather than spending 3 or 4 laps being held up. To think about it, the minute he caught him, they ducked him in, hoping that when he came back out, he wouldn't be in amongst some of the other guys like Jimmy is here.
Remember, Vasser's on cold tires. Takagi goes around him. And into turn 5. Patrick Carpentier behind Vasser in the shell car. The race leader is in. Race leader Paul Tracy is in. Scott Pruitt awaits him.
I mean, Paul Tracy's pit as we speak. They're anxiously awaiting him. 4 brand new sets of tires. Four brand new tires again. Going to be going on the car. No changes. He's very happy with the car. Everything's going very, very well. Standard pit stop. 4 tires. Fuel. And he's on his way.
2 laps short of the 28-lap mandatory pit. So Paul Tracy, like Kenny Brack.
This is a bigger risk. It's not as much of a risk for Brack, but it's a bigger risk for Paul because while he's getting his tires warm, Bruno's running around for a couple laps at speed with a light fuel load. So whether it'll be enough for him to leapfrog past Paul, we'll see. But they'll be telling Bruno, push, push, push.
And his stop will be coming up shortly when we'll see if Tracy made the right decision. Stand by. We'll be right back. Yep. Back live at Road America, down in the Turn 5 runoff. Scott Dixon's car is on fire. He just pulled off moments ago smoking, and now there are visible flames. That's the Simple Green Kart Safety Crew truck number 3. Mike Carey, Cam Howie, Todd Johnson, and Tag Schneider.
Dixon doesn't want to get out. His team's telling him to get out. The safety team is telling him to get out, but he's saying put it out and push start.
That's right. Get me going. Here's another look. Pulled right off. And then went looking for the fire truck.
I think he just overshot it, and that's some like overrun on the fuel maybe.
Adrian Fernandez, cover off in the pits. Scott Pruitt, what's up?
Some sort of engine problem. They aren't sure they're going to work. Lost power as he came on by. Slowed very, very. Oriole Servia just went by for his stop with 1 lap early. They don't know what's wrong. It smells, just sitting here, it smells like it's overheated. I don't know if something, he had a pretty big off not too long ago. Don't know if he tore up something or if it's an unrelated problem. Guys?
He did. He went off up in turn number 7, I believe, and rode the curbs for some while before a big tank slapper and got back on track. Let's see if we can show you what happened to Adrian Fernandez. Here he comes. Serious under tray scraping.
And it is going to be very close. Junqueira and D'Amata should be in the pits this lap, and they have been ripping off some really quick laps.
D'Amata went a 44.1. That's the fastest of the race thus far.
And they're going to be very close to coming out in front of Paul Tracy. They'll have cold tires, but they might be in front of him track position-wise. If these guys come out in front on cold tires, watch them be very defensive, trying to keep Paul Tracy behind him, and watch Paul to be very aggressive to capitalize while his tires are hot.
There goes Junqueira and D'Amata. Man, he is smoking. Time to roll it down to 50 miles an hour. Calvin Fish, you're up.
Well, Bruno Junqueira brings the car down. He has made 0 changes to this car today. Very happy with the balance of the race car. Bill Papa said once again, no changes. Now with D'Amata this close, I think we'll just see tires. As soon as the tires are on, we'll see the redhead come out of the car, and they'll try and beat D'Amata out of the pit. Tagliani comes in. The players team reporting that they have a little bit of understeer. Harpinson reporting. Good stuff for Junqueira. Tires going down. Car down for D'Amata. Junqueira beats him out. And I believe beat Tracy out, I believe. Let's get down to Scott with Dario.
Paul Tracy flash. Dario Franchitti came in, hit his marks. 4 brand new tires going on. Standard pit stop, no changes. He's on his way.
There is Paul Tracy. Sorry to step on you there, Scott, who came back out behind D'Amata and Junqueira. Headed down to turn 5.
That seemed risky to me at the time when Paul Tracy came in early like that.
Tracy currently shown in 5th. That will adjust next time by. Remember, the timing line is down in turn 14, and with the laps taking about 1 minute and 45 seconds, have to wait for things to shake out. Right now, Kenny Breck wants around that Reynard. Alex Tagliani.
Well, if you recall, he was in 3rd when he caught the back of that pack and tried to duck in to get on some clear track. But again, the cold tires worked against him like it did Paul Tracy, and he is back in 6th now.
Through the kink on the run down to Canada corner. There is Junqueira. There is D'Amata. Tracy. Oh, Breck thought about the outside in Canada, but that won't work. Things have settled down. We'll take another quick break and be back with more live. We have 28 laps complete, and the brats are cooking here at Road America. Welcome back live to Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin for round 12 of the CART FedEx Championship Series, the Grand Prix of Road America. I'm Bob Barsha along with Tommy Kendall, Derek Daly, Calvin Fish, and Scott Pruitt. Glad to have you with us on a beautiful day. Here's a look at the leaderboard. At the halfway point of the race, Bruno Junqueira has taken over the lead. Cristiano D'Amato runs 2nd. Paul Tracy 3rd after pitting early and trying to get around ahead of Junqueira, and D'Amata could not pull it off. Alex Tagliani runs 4th. And Kenny Breck is 5th. Here's our Bridgestone race summary. The leader is Junqueira, 6 laps out front after starting from pole position. 2 cars are out of the race. Scott Dixon caught fire. Adrian Fernandez had terminal engine problems, and they are done for the day.
Bruno Junqueira went from being frustrated behind Paul Tracy. He probably could not believe his eyes when Paul Tracy pitted early like that. Short of Bruno not taking on enough fuel to make the full 14 laps, that was just a huge gift from Team Cool Green.
14 laps is our maximum pit interval if you've just joined us. Moments ago, Oriol Servia went around the outside of Dario Franchitti in turn 1 for 7th place. Anybody else find it interesting that a guy whose name is Oriol drives a car that is black and orange and white? Here's another look. PK?
This is the tail end of Dario's outlap, so tires not fully up to temperature or pressure, and Oriol, Dario took the inside line, very defensive. I don't call that blocking. He went there before Oriol did, but Oriol says, I got to take it. Dario left him plenty of room. Very fair, clean driving by Dario. A lot of guys will protect the inside and then squeeze back to the outside, but he left him nice, lots of room.
Let's get more on Servia with Scott Pruitt.
I just talked to the Patrick Racing team, and Oriol is very pleased with the car. Remember, guys, he was very fast in warm-up this morning. This guy, realizing he just stepped into Vancouver, this is his 3rd race with the team, doing a terrific job. They're very, very confident that they can take this thing to the front. Keep going forward. That's the plan.
He really hasn't put a wheel wrong in these 3 races. The Supposedly in for 5. It remains to be seen whether the Visteon Patrick Racing team will keep him in there. And that's a tough break for Townsend Bell, who was leading the Jim Truman Rookie of the Year standings before Oriol Servia replaced him in the Patrick entry.
Oriol's actually running the quickest of any of the guys with a similar fuel load. All the guys that stopped at lap 27 or 28, including the leaders, Oriol is running about a half a second quicker than those guys, very on par with what Fittipaldi's running on a very light fuel load, only being 2 laps from his stop.
So the order across the top of your screen. Nearly a full second now. Bruno Junqueira over Cristiano D'Amata. And about 3 seconds back to Paul Tracy in third. There's Tony Kanaan, penalized at the start of the race for jumping the start. Kanaan has fought his way back. He is currently 9th. On board with Dario Franchitti in our visor cam. See the 14 on the hub of the steering wheel to remind him of the number of laps before he must pit.
There you go. Look at Oriol Servia. He is flying. That is almost a full tank of fuel.
Patrick Carpentier heads for the Forsyth pits.
Okay.
Calvin is there.
So look for Dave.
Still chasing that
Nice and
understeer,
square,
Bob.
right on the marks. Okay, hold the wheel straight. Foot on the brake. Go ahead and reset your fuel. Reset fuel.
Half a turn of front
Get
wing
ready.
there.
Watch Dave.
Spoke to Mike Kennedy. He said the problem is we keep getting back. Oh, problem there. He went a little early. Spoke to Mike Kennedy. He said we have awful track position. Every time we come out behind other cars or someone else makes another pit stop. He said we've got no flexibility because we stopped early. We're pretty much locked in. Their day is going to be a long one, TK.
You see the front wing looks remarkably different than the other Reynards. That's because this team does a lot of proprietary wind tunnel work with ARC in Indianapolis, Indiana. They come up with their own parts to develop that Reynard chassis. On board with Bruno Junqueira once again, the first time Junqueira has led since the Milwaukee Mile back on June 2nd. As Tommy Kendall mentioned, very glad to have it. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more live coverage of the CART Grand Prix of Road America. Stand by for more on a beautiful day here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Welcome back live to Road America. Bob Barsha and Tommy Kendall with you. Derek Daly, Scott Pruitt, and Calvin Fish also on hand. There's a look at your top 5. Bruno Junqueira leading after starting from pole position in today's race. The next pit stop among the front runners will be Kenny Breck, currently shown in 5th. He'll be stopping in 4 laps. You're on board with Cristiano D'Amata. Here's a look at some of the other racing going on here this weekend. The Barber Dodge Pro Series was won by Leonardo Maya. A.J. Allmendinger finished 2nd. He has already clinched the Barber Dodge Pro Series championship for 2002.
That is the first win for Leonardo. He's in the series by benefit of winning the big scholarship. So he's a guy who's been able to work his way up through that system like it's supposed to work.
The Toyota Atlantic Championship ran series round 10. Luis Diaz picked up an emotional victory. John Fogerty finished 2nd. Alex Gurney 3rd. Michael Valiente is the points leader as he saw that lead shrink from 19 to 14 points with 2 rounds of that championship still to come, including next weekend in Montreal. Tora Takagi. Moments ago, Takagi exited the pits. Here comes Patrick Carpentier, who passed him. The Japanese driver being on cold tires, and man, one of those outside-inside moves netted the position. We haven't heard much from Derek Daly lately. I think he is out enjoying the many charms of Road America. Derek, where are you?
And Bob, it's not hard to enjoy the charms here. Scott Pruitt said this track is different, very different in the way it feeds you, because as you know, corn is a great staple diet. You may be able to see this here. This, in fact, is a restaurant called the Gearbox Restaurant. But not only do they feed you corn, just have a look over here in the kitchen area. Again, an outdoor kitchen area, because they serve bratwurst. See it right over here? Johnsonville Bratwurst from just down the road here make the best bratwurst in the world. This weekend, the Gearbox Restaurant here will serve 5,000 of these wonderful units.
5,000. Well, I know I took care of a couple yesterday.
Did he say unit?
It's rather mercantile of him. It's Cristiano D'Amata. In the eyes of many, he may be headed for Toyota's Formula One effort, but he may be beaten to Formula One. Former Champ Car driver Brian Herta tested with the Minardi team last week. I spoke with Brian earlier this week. He said it went very, very well. I said, can you talk about lap times with their regular drivers, Alex Young, Mark Webber? He said, no, I'll just tell you it went very, very well. Good luck to Brian. Nice to see him in the car for the last few races of the season. Here's Kenny Brack. Calvin Fish is in the Ganassi pits.
Well, he's still on that slightly earlier strategy. Just spoke to Mike Colley, said the car is fine. We still have a little bit of flexibility with the pit window on the last stop, but not much. So 2 or 3 laps they can work with there. Kenny brings it in, smacks the target sign. Should be tires and fuel only. No changes, we believe, at this stage.
It's like sticker tires for Brack.
Okay, you're clear.
0.7 seconds, not the fastest we've seen thus far. Oh, there's Oriol Servia down in turn 14, who was having such a great run up in the top 10.
I think he was maybe doing the pits. They were going to run a short, like 8 or 9 lap run, which is why he was running so quickly. They took about a half a load of fuel. He just pulled off there, so the car obviously just quit running.
Well, he was still about 6 laps from his next required pit stop.
But it's possible if they might have just fueled just to the tires. As soon as the tires are done, they might have pulled the probe and been less than a full fuel load. On the steering wheel, I think Dario runs on the bottom LED. You see, I think that's an upward counting fuel. We don't know how much they put in, so I think it reached 14.6 is fuel used during this stint. The one at the top is lap time.
Race control reporting Oriol Servia out of fuel down in 14.
Yep, there you go.
Here comes Canada.
What a shame. Oriol was having a hell of a run.
Paul Tracy is in the pit entrance. Scott Pruitt awaits him.
Team Cool Green pit as we speak. Comes in, hit his marks. They do not plan on any changes. This is going right for their strategy. They're trying to minimize their time in the pits. Waiting on the fuel, and he's on his way. 10 even. Guys?
One more pit stop for Paul Tracy, with 23 laps remaining in the race.
Now, when Scott says minimize the time spent, what that means, the guys who are going to the full 14 laps, that has a 4-lap stub at the end. The rules dictate you have to change all 4 tires. Rather than putting 4 laps worth of gas in, which will only take a second or a couple seconds, they're going to try to make it so that they're not sitting there waiting on the tires, one waiting on the fuel, the other. They're going to put fuel and tires together so that hopefully when it all nets out. Now that's if not, he's going to be pretty unhappy because we saw what it did to his lead relative to those guys on the last stop, but he might have been stopped for longer.
Jimmy Vasser has pitted and gone back out. The top 3, Junqueira, D'Amata, and Tagliani will be in shortly. We'll be back with more from Road America. Welcome back to Road America. Bruno Junqueira, the race leader, is in. Cristiano D'Amata takes over the point. Calvin Fish is in the Ganassi pits.
We should see the first change on this race car today. We expect some front wing. As the track has picked up grip this weekend, the cars typically have been going to understeer, and I think that's really a condition with this special tire we have here. Talking to the team. Fast race car on this stop. Let's go down to Scott.
Because Cristiano's staying out. Go like hell.
We're anxiously awaiting down here Dario Franchitti, and then following up with the Vision team. They did run out of fuel. Franchitti called in. You need any changes? He said, no, we don't need any changes on the car, but give me the water bottle.
Oh, hot day's work out there for these drivers. Dario Franchitti now 4th. 88 winner here. 6 different drivers have won races in the last 11 rounds of the Kart FedEx Championship Series. We talk a lot about D'Amata's domination. That is a lot of different drivers going to victory lane.
That is Brack having a look at Paul Tracy.
Driving down toward turn 8.
Tag just turns the fastest lap of the race. He is 3 laps away from his pit stop. His crew said, you are going to have to be really, really good to come out and stay in front of Paul Tracy after this pit stop. They're trying to leapfrog by Paul the same way the other guys did. Now look for Cristiano to do the same thing to Junqueira.
Down the backstretch, Brack getting very close. Look down the inside, under braking for Canada corner. Ooh, oh! They touch and both are into the gravel. And neither has been extracted from the gravel yet this race, so both will be brought out, but obviously their race plan has just gone right out the window.
Have you got bent suspension, or can they pick you up out of there?
The crews asking about the condition of the race cars. Here's another look.
Just a case of Kenny Brack trying to get down the inside, gets right up, you know, next door, but he gets next door by getting in too hot, gets the rears locked. I think that might have been a case of Kenny saying, this is my only chance, not whether or not I think I can do it, I'm going to do it and hope I make it.
Yeah, Brack came off the curbing. The rear end got into Tracy's right rear, and both drivers have climbed out. Full course yellow for the second time today.
Well, we won't get to see how that
might have anticipated a slugfest here, but
I think Kenny said that was all me. Sorry.
Well, that takes out 2 of the top 5 cars. Cristiano D'Amata is in, and Calvin Fish is the guy in the pit lane.
D'Amata brings it on down, and I don't know why I asked Peter Gibbons if they're ever going to change the car. I think for about the last 6 races, he's always said the thing is perfect. We talked about that at Mid-Ohio. Cristiano gets the car in the window, then just wants to drive it. Looks like a routine stop. They can take a little bit more time there. We expect a full load of fuel here, and I think this last stop is where it's going to be interesting to see how they split up. We've got 19 laps to go. How they split that up when they pit for the last 15 with D'Amata. Let's get down to Scott Pruitt.
Waiting in Team Cool, waiting on Franchitti, brings car in, hits his mark, slides to a stop, water bottle goes cross to him. 4 Potenza's going on, brand new sticker tires, waiting on the fuel, and he's off, 10.1.
So Dario Franchitti comes back out. Here is the order under our second full course caution of the day with 19 laps to go. D'Amata followed by Franchitti before that pit stop, and Bruno Junqueira, Alex Tagliani, Christian Fittipaldi. Tony Kanaan started dead last. He's on that off-sequence pit strategy. He just made his last stop. He is currently running 6th. We'll be back in just a moment.
Safety is always a concern with CART, the teams, as well as the drivers, especially in the runoff areas. Here at Elkhart Lake in turn 1, the champ cars are running 200+ miles an hour into turn 1. If something was to happen, they have 2 acres of this soft rock to catch the cars. The good news is it really slows the champ cars down. The bad news is it's impossible to get the cars and get them out of harm's way. That's why the Gale Dynalift is a perfect piece of equipment. You go in, get a hold of the champ car, pick it up in the air, and get it out of the way in a matter of minutes.
There could be a career there for Scott Pruitt. There you see the Gale lifter at work, hauling Paul Tracy's car out of the sand trap. Let me correct something I said a moment ago. Tony Kanaan is actually on sequence for his pit stops and is now shown in 5th place. We'll take another short break. We expect the green flag shortly. Stand by for more from sunny Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, Kart Grand Prix of Road America. Welcome back live to Road America and the Kart Grand Prix of Road America here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Bob Varsha, Tommy Kendall, Scott Pruitt, Derek Daly, and Calvin Fish with you. We are going green with 17 laps to go. Cristiano D'Amata is the leader. There's Michael Andretti with Christian Fittipaldi just behind him. The final pit window for the cars on the standard strategy will come up in 3 laps.
And you saw Kanaan and Carpentier jump around Franchitti on that restart.
Down to turn 5. While we watch this, Paul Tracy has made his way back to the pits, and Scott Pruitt is with him.
Hugely disappointing what happened.
What can I say? He wasn't close enough to pass me, and there was not enough room there to make a pass that late in the braking zone, and he just drove right into the side of me, and disappointing. And we had a good run today. The car was good. We were going to probably finish on the podium and try to get some points, and a dumb thing like that takes us out.
Now, as you were down there walking away, did you and Kenny have words?
Yeah, I mean, I just said, well, where did that move come from? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I mean, sorry doesn't get us any points. It doesn't get him any points. So, I mean, you got to weigh the risk against the reward.
Now, when you got down there, any problems? Are you sore? Anything?
My hand's a little bit sore because, I mean, I didn't really expect him to hit me that hard, and it jerked the wheel out of my hand, and my hand's a little bit sore.
Hugely disappointing. See you next week, guys.
Paul Tracy is done, and at the same moment, so is his teammate. That's Dario Franchitti, who pulled off with fluid leaking from the car. And steam rising from under the hood, probably from Dario's helmet as well at this point. Something let go. Look at that tire just glistening with fluid.
Paul makes a good point. You know, he talks. You know, technically that's a racing incident, but all things considered, that was not a real prudent move on Breck's part.
Go ahead, Derek.
I am here in the runoff area with Dario Franchitti. Dario, very disappointing in the leading group. Do you know what happened?
The engine just let go, Derek.
Any indication earlier there might be a problem?
Well, it was getting a bit slower on the straight, and that last restart there, it tightened right up.
Thank you, Dario. As you look at pictures of the car here, Dario himself helped the safety crew get the engine cover off to douse it with fluid, but you can see the top of the box here all scorched as if there was a fire or flame in there somewhere.
Dario Franchitti will soon be taking possession of a new Eurocopter helicopter, having passed his licensing exam just a few short weeks ago. That'll make commuting easier. On board with Patrick Carpentier, a little extra steering input there coming off the carousel, headed for the kink.
One last comment on the Breck Tracy incident. You know, I think the decision when he said, I'm going to pass him, I think he just said, I'm going to pass no matter what, without much thought to whether he could pull it off or not. That's a really tough place to pass, which Paul alluded to. There's no way he was going to get up next to him, and he didn't. You know, probably could have told that beforehand.
On board with Bruno Junqueira, chasing Cristiano D'Amata, who is leading once again. D'Amata has led a lap at every race but 2 this year, and those 2 were the oval races at Milwaukee and Motegi, Japan. Once again, Bruno Junqueira flexing his fingers in the car.
You saw the Target team doing about the same thing to Bruno that the cool guys did to Paul in terms of, you know, equalizing those stops out. It meant not so much a longer stop, it meant an earlier stop, and the cold tires really came into play. That's what flip-flopped the position. Now, the other side of this, where Cristiano has to pay it off on his last stop, if they have to wait too long for the tires after the fueling is done, and that stop is appreciably longer, theoretically, Bruno could get back around with a shorter stop. So that's where it's all going to come down to on those last 2 stops. I expect it to play out in favor of Cristiano, personally.
Let's get to the pit lane. Scott Pruitt with Oriol Servia.
A guy that was having a great day, Oriol Servia, unfortunately came up a little bit short on the fuel.
Yeah, we don't know exactly what happened. Probably a pickup problem, because we're supposed to have still a gallon in the car. So, I mean, these things happen in racing. You're trying to, you know, to be at front. It's obvious you have to put everything at the, you know, at the fine edge. And we were good. The car was really quick. It just didn't happen today, but we'll see. Still, next weekend, I think it's a great track for our car. The Visteon car looks good on the quick corners, and I think Montreal has quick corners, so we should be in good shape there.
Well, these guys at Patrick Racing continue to look for good things as they continue on. Unfortunately, not for today. Guys?
Well, if he had a gallon left in the car, he better have been heading for the pit lane, because at 1.85 miles a gallon, he wasn't going to get another lap out of it. Here's Jimmy Vasser, currently shown in 6th. Boy, he has needed a run like this. Patrick Carpentier peels off for the pit lane. Bringing it down to 50 miles an hour. Calvin Fish will meet him when he gets there.
Okay.
Well, he'll be the first of the leading pack to not need another stop here to the end. This will complete lap 46. He'll be able to go to the checkered flag without a mandatory pit stop. They believe they got the handling pretty good. There should be no adjustment here other than tires and fuel. So I don't think they've got the fastest car out there, but they're just plugging away. Pat currently second in points. He needs a good run here today to keep the pressure on Cristiano.
Okay, way you go. Way you go.
Well, keep pace with Bruno Junqueira, who is currently second. Off he goes, back on track. There's the view from our Honda Skycam. Looking down on this beautiful circuit, there are the race leaders. Once again, thanks to Honda for providing us that platform. There are your top 3, D'Amata, Junqueira, Tagliani. We'll take a break and return. 14 laps remain here at Road America. This Toyota Spotlight takes a look at the successes of Newman Haas Racing here at Road America. Mario Andretti carved his name in the record books 3 times here at Road America, go along with 3 poles at this 4-mile racetrack. Son Michael also has 3 victories, matching his old man, but just 2 poles. Of course, Christian Fittipaldi picked up his first victory here in 1999, driving for Paul Newman and Carl Haas, who as drivers themselves also raced here at Road America. In all, 7 victories and 5 poles for one of the proudest teams in the CART FedEx Championship Series. And right now, their man Christian Fittipaldi runs first. Cristiano D'Amata runs first. Christian Fittipaldi is 6th. Here's when we expect the top cars to pit. All of the top 5 cars have one more pit stop coming, and that is when they will pit in the right-hand column. Lap 55 for D'Amata.
We've seen it all day long. The guys, all season long, really, the guys who stop latest have a huge edge in track position because of those extra laps they run with hot tires. Now, we know that Cristiano's last stop might be a hair longer for taking on more fuel, but I'm still puzzled by first Paul Tracy doing it, and then even after Tracy showed it to not be the case, to see the target guys. I might be eating my words at the end of this thing, but we'll see, I guess.
Indeed we will. See, not much of a gap from D'Amata back to Junqueira and then to Alex Tagliani. Tony Kanaan runs 4th, about 2 seconds behind Tag. Jimmy Vasser about 5 seconds behind Kanaan. Christian Fittipaldi less than a second behind Vasser. And Mario Dominguez, Patrick Carpentier, who has pitted for the 4th and final time. Michel Jourdain Jr. running 9th in position for his 12th consecutive points-paying finish in the series. And that will serve him well, as 4th in points, Dario Franchitti is out of the race. So Jourdain can move up.
Pit in 2, Bruno, pit in 2.
2 laps to Bruno Junqueira's final stop. There'll be 10 laps to go next time by the start-finish line. Here comes Tony Kanaan trying to catch the tail of those front-running 3 cars. Scott Pruitt has more on him.
Actually, I just got done talking to Morris Nunn. He owns the Pioneer team. He goes, hey, things are looking pretty good. I said, yeah, things are looking real good for the weekend you've had. If you keep it together again, that would be good. And it sounds like we got a car off, guys.
We do. Shinji Nakano is off. Front wheels are on the curb. Rear wheels appear to be buried in the gravel trap at Canada Corner. Let's take another look. We have a full course yellow, the 3rd of the day, and the pits are open for final stops. So we can expect D'Amata, Junqueira, Tagliani, Kanaan, and Vasser, the top 5, all to make their final stop under yellow. There's Nakano. Canada Corner has been where most of the action has taken place. Save for Michael Andretti, who got bumped off in turn 8 of lap 1. Andretti currently 11th, so Michael is up into the points.
So this is going to negate that difference in strategy. It's just going to be a flat-out battle between the teams.
Calvin Fish will be in D'Amato's pit. Here we go. The all-important final stop.
This is what the boys practice week in, week out. This is where they can win it for their man on the racetrack. They need a good, clean stop here. No mistakes whatsoever. The all looks good here for Cristiano D'Amato. What's the story down at your end, Scott?
Thing going on down here, except he had a little problem getting in. The left rear guy actually knocked the wheel gun out of his hand. They were a little bit slow, recovered nicely to get a good stop, even though they had a bit of a problem.
Position change. Alex Tagliani comes out ahead of Bruno Junqueira. Tony Kanaan remains 4th. Jimmy Vasser still 5th. Christian Fittipaldi remains in 6th. So the big change, P2. Tag is there ahead of Junqueira.
The only question is, did Tag short fill it so much that he doesn't have 10 laps worth of fuel? Otherwise, he's looking good.
He'll need about 2 gallons a lap. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back live to Road America. There's the view of Turn 5 from our Honda Skycam. And somewhere down there is Derek Daly. Derek?
Amongst a massive crowd. Just look at the people here on the hillside enjoying the wonderful day here. And we did spot this man here, our own Greg Creamer. By God, on his weekend off, he can't even stay at home. He's a flagman here, helping out in any way he can. Greg, good boy.
Greg's been putting on the whites, as they say, working as a volunteer corner marshal for a long, long time. I believe Greg has worked a couple of Formula One Grands Prix in Montreal, since many of those corner workers come from the Sports Car Club of America here stateside.
Bruno, like I said, we go to the
Greg has also been doing his announcer chores this weekend with the Trans Am Series for the BF Goodrich Tires Cup. On board with Bruno Junqueira. Now, let's take a look at Junqueira's stop and watch his left rear tire man as he comes across the back of the car to take his position. TK?
Yeah, the gun gets knocked out of his hand. You see how much earlier he comes to the stop before Tag, but the left rear guy has the gun knocked out of his hand by the right rear wheel, and that tells the tale.
See, the left front man is already done. Everybody waiting on
Tag
that
is
left
out
rear.
of there.
Yep.
So the call cost him first spot in terms of pitting earlier, and a mistake, like Calvin says, they practice and practice and practice, but when game time comes, stuff like that can happen. Trying to do everything perfect, and there is nothing that's going to make that guy feel a whole lot better right now.
Scott Pruitt has more.
Well, there's some pretty serious discussions going on right now with the CART officials. As you can see, they're trying to determine, did he hit the guy, did he hit the gun, is there a penalty or no penalty? They've been discussing this since the pit stop. No decision has been made as of yet. As you can see, they're trying to go through every detail.
Now they're arguing that he hit the car with the gun, that the car didn't hit the gun.
Well, a penalty right now would be brutal to Junqueira's hopes.
He has run a flawless race. Had a flawless weekend, really.
Overtake is also available.
We're being told there will be no penalty. That is good news for Junqueira. Right up there in laps led. That bonus point for most laps led may be in his pocket by the time this race is done. But that'll be a lot less important to him than being 2 places behind Cristiano D'Amato on the racetrack. Let's look at Mario Dominguez. He's had an interesting weekend. He is currently in 8th in the Herdez car. Remember, he had that big crash on Saturday. The team had to rebuild the car. Let's take you back to Saturday morning practice. Down in turn 14, all of the drivers doing their best to try to get to that timing line. Excuse me, this is Tony Kanaan, who crashed on Friday when the wing came off at full tilt boogie. One side of the support structure broke, and then the second half broke. And this was Dominguez's crash down in turn 14 on a hot lap at the end of Saturday morning's practice.
He put a wheel off on the entrance of 14 under braking, and it just sucks the whole car. When you do that under braking, next thing you know, the whole car is off the track and pointed straight at the barrier.
And look at that group of tires. That's a couple 100 pounds of rubber, and look where it wound up. After Junqueira punted several of those bales of tires up over the wall.
Both these guys having their best races. Dominguez his best race of the year, and Tony his best race in a while.
They are currently 4th, Canan, and 8th, Dominguez. There will be 8 laps to go when we cross the start-finish line as D'Amata begins to bring the field up to speed.
Now remember, D'Amata has more downforce, we're led to believe, than some of these other guys. This is probably where he's most vulnerable, is on a restart before the tires are up to temperature or pressure.
See if Tagliani can take advantage. Oh, great restart for D'Amata. Oh, Tags will take a look. No, Tags is going to have to defend from Junqueira.
That's the move that I was talking about when I said that often guys will defend to the inside and then give the guy the squeeze to the outside. That's exactly what he did, and he's lucky that Bruno was able to stop.
Well, no matter what happens, Tony Canan is going to be in great shape after this race if he can hold on to that 4th place.
I'll tell you, look at that weaving by Tagliani. Twice in 1 lap. Big runs neutralized by a block.
Turn 6 into the run through hurry downs to turn 8. Boy, everybody bunched up right now. The 18 starters, 6 cars are out of the race.
As I said in the Friday show, the blocking seems to be kind of an accepted part of the game. Wally's not too bothered by it. The way the rule is written, you have to get a warning before you can actually penalize a guy. But imagine if instead of every time we had a block, you have this guy behind lifting out of the gas. What if you had the guy up next to him and racing with it? I think that'd be pretty cool to watch, personally.
So look at the fastest lap times of the day. Wally, of course, is Wally Dallenbach, the chief steward of the championship auto racing teams. To correct myself, we have 7 cars out of the race. Dario Franchitti, the most recent, is the 7th dropout. 11 cars remain, and they are all.
Now, while I'm on my soapbox, I should say until they crack down on it, that's exactly what Tagliani should be doing.
I know blocking is a particular bugaboo of yours.
Well, it is what it is, but I'm just saying in this day and age where it's hard to get next to a guy. Yep. But until they decide they're going to crack down, I'd be blocking like a maniac.
I'm with you. Here's our Bridgestone race recap. Of the 11 cars running, 9 are on the lead lap. Comes through 5. Let's take another look at that block.
You see Bruno juked a little right, Tags covered to the right, now he squeezed him off to the left. Again, he's fortunate on the cold tires that Bruno was able to get enough speed off to not run into him.
This was Mid-Ohio last week now. D'Amata closing up on Patrick Carpentier, Tag's teammate.
Carpentier turned in way early to kind of angle off, give Cristiano a squeeze. Cost him his downforce, and he was not able to compensate. Partially his fault as well for not allowing for that kind of thing. It is part of the game, and you know a guy's probably going to do that.
Afterwards, D'Amata says, I wasn't even trying to pass. I was just trying to give him something to think about. When he lost the front end downforce, car spun around on him. And once again, D'Amata looking like the man here, going for his 6th victory. And another fat uptick in championship points. Something his rivals can ill afford, with just 7 races to go in the championship after this weekend at Road America. Into turn 1, 6 laps to go. As Tagliani will take a quick break and return with just a half dozen laps to go. Elkhart Grand Prix of Road America. Stand by. We'll be right back. Back at Road America, here's the view from our Honda Skycam. Cristiano D'Amata to the right of your screen as they exit the carousel. Here comes the kink. And they continue on their way. Alex Tagliani 2nd, Bruno Junqueira in 3rd. 5 laps to go. There'll be 4 to go next time past the timing stand. Here's a look at the FedEx Championship points, where the race to end in this order. Cristiano Ronaldo out to 143 points and a big 42-point lead over Bruno Junqueira and Patrick Carpentier. It's cold comfort to Paul Tracy, but he has clinched the bonus point for leading the most laps. But he was looking not for 1 point, but 21 when he and Kenny Brack tangled and found themselves out of the race. Let's go to Calvin Fish.
Well, I just wanted to bring you up to speed on the mood down here. I said to Peter Gibbons, I'm having a lot of fun. How about you? And he said, to tell you the truth, no. Remember, this team has not had a result in the last 3 races. A lot of tension in that camp right now. Down at players, Neil Mickelwright said, we have a very fast car, but so does Cristiano. We may be able to catch him, but passing him is another story. Now, after the fumble in the target team, what's the mood down there, Scott Pruitt?
Well, they're very disappointed with what happened on the pit stop, but they're still upbeat. This race is not over by any means. We still have a number of laps left to go. Bruno's been doing a terrific job all day long, and we just got to keep at it. And for Kanaan and those guys, after the weekend they've had, they'll be happy with the checkered flag. They've done a terrific job all day long. They feel they can keep up there and keep in the heat, keep in the battle. Maybe we can turn this thing into a podium.
You see Tony Kanaan making his way down.
We need to give not only a call to Tony Kanaan, but also to Mo Nunn. They actually effectively got out of sequence by staying in sequence. Everybody in front of him was taking a gamble to get out by themselves. That just cleared the road in front of Tony. So on that first stint and all the subsequent ones, he just hammered it. And you could see just the way he was turning in for the high-speed stuff. It's the motor racing equivalent of having a spring in your step. You can just tell the guy is flat on it. So between he and Mo Nunn, he said we'll do it as a team. They both contributed today.
There you see Kanaan is the biggest mover of the day, making up 14 places so far. Even that full face helmet with the visor down, you can be sure Tony Kanaan is smiling back there. Although I imagine he's probably driving with fingers and toes crossed at this point.
Based on his season, he probably won't even allow himself to think far enough ahead. So, but come the checkered flag, he will be smiling. Now we saw the points as of now, and Bruno was 42 back. Talk about how big those decisions and the mistakes were in the pits. A 6-point swing. If he was first and Cristiano, that'd be a 9-point swing. So he would be 33 behind instead of 42. And at the top of the show, I talked about this being pivotal. The 2 key intangibles, momentum and confidence. It looks like Cristiano has wrested the momentum back in his court. And this was a real key point. D'Amato looked fragile, or at least fallible. Now it looks like he's saying, hey, we're back on stream, and we've got a big cushion.
Look at Junqueira. Season is long from over. Over 160-odd points still remain to be won this season. If D'Amato comes out with 143 in the championship for the victory, there is still time. Let's go to Scott Pruitt.
Kenny Brack out there had a bit of a tangle up into the back straight with Paul Tracy. What happened out there?
I was trying to get by him. You know, we were faster and we were sort of stuck together for well, the whole race basically. And I had a run and got on the inside, and I think my rear brakes locked up just a little bit as we went into the corner, and Paul didn't give me any room either. So I think that my rear end just tucked up and hit him or something, and we both made contact and went off. So my fault.
Well, Paul was pretty adamant. He thought you did a slide job on him when he came in. Any truth to that?
No, I don't think so. I think that we braked. I mean, obviously you brake late on the outside. I braked late on the inside, and I think my rear wheels locked up, and my car started to rotate before we actually turned in a little bit. I think we touched, and that was what happened. So.
Now, who made the decision to leave the cars in there? Was there any chance to get back out and get going, or was some damage on the car that ended your day?
No, I don't think the cars, well, I didn't really look, but I don't think, it wasn't a hard contact, but, you know, we were quite deep in the gravel and didn't see anybody coming to try to rescue us either, so in the end, I had to get out.
All right, man, we'll see you next week in Montreal, guys.
Oh, another problem for Kenny Brack. Man, he has had some season. Here's a look at a comparison between last year's first 11 races, during which he picked up 3 of his 4 season victories, and this year, 11 races down, no wins, no poles, and 5 DNFs. Did not finish. In the carousel goes Bruno Junqueira. There will be 1 lap to go next time by. The white flag is in Jim Swintal's hands, and he will wave it next time by for Cristiano D'Amata. That's in Canada corner where Tracy and Pratt came together. Here's another look.
And he did have a run through the kink, gets up alongside. They both went in deep, and like Kenny said, he had already started to lose it. Just a function of going probably about as deep as he did. He was used to going on the outside, on the inside to try to get up next to him.
Use the putt.
There you have the top 3 guys in your picture with 4 miles to go for victory. It could be the 6th of the season for D'Amata. It could be another victory for Junqueira. It would be Alex Tagliani's first career victory in the CART FedEx Championship Series.
Starting to see some more weaving from Tagliani. And Bruno ran the fastest lap of the race of 43.7.
Junqueira looking for a wave.
Little rear lock. If you hear the engine go quiet, that's the rear tires locking. Locked. We saw it with Cristiano. It's like someone yanking the e-brake. So you need to get them locked up spinning as quickly as possible. The engine actually refires. It actually bump starts itself back to life.
Last time through the carousel. And last time through the kink. What do you do? If you're Bruno Junqueira, do you take a run? He's not close enough there.
I don't think he'll have a chance now.
No. Accept 3rd place points and continue on. Patrick Carpentier is 7th. So Bruno Junqueira could move into a tie for 2nd in the championship. Checkered flag for Cristiano D'Amata, the king of the road courses this year, picks up his 6th of the season. Tagliani finishes 2nd. Junqueira 3rd, followed by Tony Kanaan, Jimmy Vasser, Christian Fittipaldi in 6th, and Patrick Carpentier in 7th. Mario Dominguez is 8th from the last row of the starting grid. Michel Jourdain picks up his 12th straight point-scoring finish in 9th. And Michael Andretti, who was knocked off at turn 1 and a lap down all day, finishes in 10th, 2 laps behind the race leader. Shinji Nakano, the only other finisher, in 11th. Dario Franchitti will pick up a championship point despite not finishing in 12th. The gap from 1st to 3rd, 1.5 seconds. There is the Newman Haas team. Let's salute them. There you see the co-owners, Paul Newman and Carl Haas, and the rest of the gang that put Cristiano D'Amata atop the podium.
This is a huge win for those guys.
No question about that. We'll take a quick break and get set for post-race festivities here on Speed Channel, although that man's got a long way to go to get to victory lane. Welcome back live to Road America. There's the reception for Cristiano D'Amata, his 10th career victory and 6th of the season, which puts him within reach of the record for most wins in a season. That number is 8, shared by Michael Andretti, who did it in 1991, and Ellenzer Jr. in 94. Let's watch and listen as the Newman Haas crew welcomes their man home.
All right. Yeah. Somebody come in. Get down. Fantastic down here. Tony Hovel there, who's done a fabulous job. This whole Newman Haas racing team just been absolutely perfect this afternoon. Cristiano D'Amata.
We are down here, of course, Cristiano D'Amata. This may be certainly one of the most satisfying wins of the year. The team is here. Les Unger from Toyota just congratulates Cristiano. Cristiano, 6 wins, and this might have been one of the toughest and one of the most satisfying.
Yeah, it's very satisfying because we had couple of bad races together, so it's very rewarding to be back on first place, especially the way it was. This race was a tough race. Bruno and Tag were running really strong, qualifying pace all the time. Paul did also a great job up until, I don't know, he had some problem, whatever. I just saw his car stopped. But it was a tough race. Very glad about the work the crew did on the pitch. Very happy about the way the car was handling. It's very happy about the, being out of the 120-something points, especially about that.
But Cristiano, halfway through the race, when you saw Junqueira be that strong and Tagliani, I mean, were you beginning to get somewhat concerned that you might not be able to pull this off?
Well, I wasn't. I was more concerned than anything. I was more concerned about bringing it to the end, even if I was going to get second, third, or fourth. I was, of course, happy about the result. I just knew we needed more momentum to start to get going again. But it was a fun race. When I realized that those guys that were in front of me, they had to short fuel to keep up with the pace I was putting, I realized, wow, that's going to be good, because they're going to have to stop laps earlier, and I'll be able to stay on the track with low fuel load and, put a couple of very good laps together, get the difference. So just hammer it on those 2 laps, or the yellow actually upset us a little bit, maybe a little bit closer, but still we're able to make it.
Well done, Cristiano. I think when he said hammer it, that was what he did today. Calvin?
Thanks, Derek. Tag, if you could blueprint a race weekend other than taking the win, you guys were so smooth all weekend. Great performance by you and the team.
Yeah, the players team gave me a very good car from the beginning of the weekend. And then we qualified really well, second row, third. But in the race, I think the only mistake we did is we chose a 7 gear that was a little bit too tall. And I had a lot of hard time to draft other people. And when I was by myself, people behind me were drafting me pretty well. So sometimes I had to protect my line. And but I guess it's good, score points, and we're on the podium here. So I'm very pleased for my guys. They did a fantastic job. So it's a way to go.
Slight slip by Bruno's team on the last pit stop, left you into second. And if Bruno hadn't been right behind you, do you think you could actually put a bit more pressure on Cristiano today?
Well, actually, Cristiano was really fast, but like I said, the only place where Cristiano was a little bit quicker than me, it was up the hill, going in 7th gear. My 7 was not pulling, it was a little bit too tall, so I guess we're going to know for next time, but I'm very pleased for the old Players Foresight team. All the guys work at the shop really hard to improve this car, and they did a great job.
Tag, great performance, great to see you where you belong, mate, on the podium. Let's get down to Scott Pruitt.
Bruno Junqueira just walked up, was talking with his team exactly what had happened on the pit stop. Found out they knocked one of the wheel guns out of his hand. Terrific job. Just a little bit of a bobble in the pits.
Yeah, it's a shame, but I think everything went a little bit wrong when Cristiano was very lucky to get the yellow, and he just pulled out of the pit a little bit in front of me. But if it was green, for sure I would pass him. He had cold tires, and I still did in the race. Then on the last pit stop, I had to put more fuel as well, and then I lost position for Tagliani. It's a shame. I had a very good car. Team Tag did a very good job in the weekend. And it was really close between me, Cristiano, and Tagliani. A little bit of unlucky on that yellow that we're not thinking that it would happen any yellow in the race.
Now, did you realize that you had actually hit the gun on the way in, or did you just realize that it was just a little bit of a slow pit stop there?
I didn't realize. You can't. I know that I slide a little bit, but I hit the marks pretty well, but it's okay. We had to put more fuel than Cristiano and Tagliani anyway, because they stopped 2 laps later. Then this is why he lost position. But I mean, it's a shame because I had a good car. Last lap I tried to pass Tagliani, but he blocked me, and I know that he would not let down on last laps.
Well, we'll see you next week in Montreal. Now remember, guys, we talked about strategy, and strategy was a big player and big component in the race today. Guys?
No question about that, Scott. Let's take a look at the final results. Victory for Cristiano Ramada, as I mentioned, his 6th of the year. Alex Tagliani 2nd, matching his best performance of the year. That was on the oval at Motegi, Japan. And it's also the 10th points finish for Tagliani in the 12 races this year. Bruno Junqueira, as you heard, a bit disappointed to finish 3rd. And Tony Kanaan must be absolutely ecstatic to finish 4th after the weekend he's had, TK.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, when you have a big lead coming in like D'Amata, his face at the start told the tale. Everybody was happy to be here, but he looked like a guy who knew that they had the wherewithal, but things weren't going their way. So to get one in the books and turn those tables, this is very pivotal for Newman Haas.
Lots more still to come from Road America. Stand by for more of our post-race. We'll be back in just a moment.